Hi there, Sean Hall here, CEO of human performance company Energx. I'm here to share with you our signature program, the X Factor, designed based on our experiences supporting the well-being of thousands of employees at some of the world's largest companies like Facebook, Deloitte, Rio Tinto, and many more. We know people analytics is an essential capability within every organization to drive change. And so, what I want to share with you here is how we're applying that to actually enable your people, your teams, and your leaders to excel in these times of change and uncertainty. Now, this all starts really by asking a question of you, first of all, and that is what promises have you made to your stakeholders, to your board? Now, when you think about those promises, how many of them actually rely on your people having the capacity to deliver to a high standard? I'm pretty sure if it's not 100%, it's very close. Now, the reality is the pandemic has left everyone's capacity diminished. In fact, what we've found through all of the assessments we've been doing is that only a small percentage of both men and women are really thriving right now. A huge percentage, almost 60% of women, are actually at risk of burnout or more serious mental health issues. And so this reality is something that we need to deal with right now to overcome and accelerate back to performance. This also has very big commercial implications. We know that just having 100 burned out employees in your organization is costing you almost $1.3 million in wasted salaries. That's 41 days in lost productivity per employee, based on an average salary of about $80,000. And that's why what we believe is the number one retention strategy you can have right now is simply to help your people overcome this burnout. And let me show you how we do it. It starts with this very special friend here, Frankie. Frankie is an anti-burnout coach that lives where your people already work. Places like Teams, Workplace, Slack, WebEx, WhatsApp, and SMS. What this means is there's no additional apps required because, let's face it, no one needs any more apps. And also for your IT teams, little if no IT implementation to literally get Frankie working in seconds. What Frankie does is ask a series of science-based questions that look at the holistic well-being of the individual because everyone's experience of burnout or risk of burnout is unique to them. So if you value having an inclusive culture, it's super important that your well-being program does not treat everyone the same. Now, Frankie is the first time that we can really show and recognize the individual context. Now, what Frankie does is asks a series of questions and then based on those sets of answers, designs for the individual a unique anti-burnout curriculum from over 5.7 million options. And because the biggest excuse everyone always has is time, interacting with Frankie literally is just about a few chats each day and less than 10 minutes a week. Now, Frankie is part of the X Factor program overall. So let me walk you through the design. The first phase is our kickoff masterclass, where your team are introduced to Frankie. Frankie goes through the series of questions, and they're also invited to complete a positive psychology assessment too, which looks at their strengths. Based on these sets of data, we look at 3 benchmarks that we've created from working in and assessing over 10,000 people. Now, what we know from benchmark number 1 is that the top 20% of people feel they have enough energy 80% of the time. The reality is that the average in your organization will be 5 or less, way off high performance. The other 2 benchmarks that we look at are around what I call the innovation twins. So looking at the positive psychology research in terms of what drives our ability to do great convergent thinking and divergent thinking to ultimately come up with bold, brave ideas and new sources of value. Based on these sets of data, we then design the X Factor program to specifically meet the needs of your people and to importantly move them as quickly and practically as possible towards those benchmarks. Now, we do this through 3 simultaneous streams. The first is personalized experiences. So every individual gets Frankie. And also will be given conversation guides that build their confidence around having self-care conversations with their colleagues and even paying forward that to the people they care about the most. The second set of experiences are designed to create a sense of belonging and trust and connection and reduce those feelings that so many of us have had of stigma, shame, isolation, and loneliness through the pandemic. The first collective experience is the Kickoff Masterclass, but then based on the aggregate data, we also designed 4 fortnightly mini workshops, which bring people together around shared needs. And then finally, we top things off with our Find Your X Factor workshop, which will leave your people feeling more in control of their career and being able to have more proactive career development conversations so that they are managing their career and not you. Then for leaders, we have a specific set of experiences as well. These are ultimately about creating leaders that leave their people more well than they found them. The first is 2 workshops which look at role modeling and then also coaching. The second thing that we do is provide people with a personal benchmarking report so they know where they sit and what they need to do to get to those benchmarks as well. And then to support them with that, we have 2 one-on-one coaching sessions with an Energx coach. Then finally, at the end of the program, which takes about 100 days, we then reassess everybody to determine the effectiveness and return on investment. Every single person that participates gets a personal momentum report, which looks at their progress against their goals, and also importantly, tips to sustain their energy going forwards. We then also, because we want to keep the CFOs happy as well, we also provide an effectiveness and ROI report and look at engagement throughout the program as well. Now, at the end of the day, this is all about creating sustainable skills that create competitive advantage. So when you work with Energx, we're going to leave your people more well in these 4 ways. They'll be more mentally well because ultimately you buy their brains, not their biceps. So we want to light up their brains. They'll be more effective and productive and able to proactively focus on the highest value activity. They'll be more creative and innovative. And finally, they'll be more emotionally intelligent and inclusive. You'll see just an incredible increase in the number and quality of self-care conversations that happen culturally and organically in your organization. Now, what we believe too is this is an excellent example of showing your EVP in action. So whilst you're retaining your people through the X Factor program, we've also have an ability to show you how you can attract new talent at the same time. Because after all, the best source of new talent is the network of your current employees. And we also know that 87% of professionals agree that well-being is actually really important to them in choosing a workplace or recognizing new opportunities. And so what we've done to make the most of this is that we've actually strategically engineered into the program parts where you can allow your people to invite someone from their network to experience your EVP in action and just show how much people working for you are more well as a result of that relationship. Now, I always believe the best time to have more energy is right now. So please get in touch if you'd love to hear more about the X Factor and what we can do for you. And I'd love to share with you some of the results that we're getting with other clients as well. This, as I said, is the number one thing that you should be investing in for retention this year. Help your people overcome burnout, and they are way more likely to stay for the long term. Can't wait to hear from you.